So, everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Tierlist Tuesdays. And I wanted to do something where you guys can understand me more. Why do I like this movie and why do I not like one? And a big reason is just completely up to personal preference, which is genres. Some people love, let's just say, action. Some people hate it. It's completely fine. And speaking of action, that's the first one on our list. And for me personally, I would say it's a very hit or miss, probably the most hit or miss genre in this entire list. I'd say probably about 30% of action movies are really good. And then like 40% are mid and 30% are bad. But then you also have like a lot of superhero movies and a lot of shit. Like, I'd say out of every shit movie that I've seen, a lot of them are action. So because of that, I think I put it in the B tier. If we're talking about peak, I would put it maybe in S tier because there's a lot of good action. But it's kind of overshadowed by all the shit ones. So like I don't like Fast and Furious that much. A lot of superhero movies. For example, last year I watched The Beekeeper, and it was about like on the bottom half of my list, and I don't think I had many action movies in the top half just because there's just so many shit ones. So yeah, B tier it is. Next up we have Adventure. Adventure's really interesting. I think it's better than action. I think I put it in the A tier. If we're including like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and those types of movies, then Adventure, it has some really fucking good movies. I think one of your main objectives as a filmmaker is to keep your audience entertained throughout the entire movie. So, you know, you set up the world, and then once the adventure begins, if the movie's done well, then like I'm super excited for that movie. Like, and usually a lot of adventure movies, they continue going for several movies, and shows do it very well as well. So you want to keep watching even after the movie's done. It's like, oh shit, that was fun. I hope the adventure continues or there's another one. So it's a very good way to keep the audience entertained. Oh shit, man. I think a lot of people want to go on adventures in real life, you know, money and all that, but you can kind of do it from home with a movie. But if we're including video games, then adventures, like, they're so good at that. Like, I just made a video on Uncharted. Probably my favorite adventure series out of including movies. I fucking love Uncharted. And like I really felt like I was in the adventure with the characters, and I think that's a sign of a good genre where you're super invested into the world, and there's only a couple genres that do it better than adventure. Animation, it's probably S tier. I love animation. My third favorite movie, How to Train Your Dragon, animation. The last year, the best movie of the year was The Wild Robot. So many the thing with animation, and particularly with Pixar's definitely my favorite. Anyone can enjoy it, from like 5-year-olds to fucking 60-year-olds, because they usually have a hidden message within animation, and I love that about that. So like any age can enjoy it. Another thing is that I love the visual aspect. Like, probably the most visually stunning movies for me are the animations. Like Spider-Verse, fucking incredible. Arcane season 2 and 1, like just my two favorites, and they're both animations. So visually it's amazing. Any age can watch it. The bottom 50% of animation compared to the bottom 50% of action, animation clears. Like it's always good. So yeah, keeps it in the S tier. Ooh, okay, so now we have Biography. There's a few biographies that are probably my top 10 movies. Like, I love The Social Network. The Wolf of Wall Street's so funny and also really good. Like, the thing with biographies is that out of all these genres, I think the one that you learn the most from is biographies, because, you know, people learn from people's mistakes, and not just from witnessing them in real life, but also in movies. Or reading books, whatever. You can learn about people just through a screen, and biography is probably the best way to do that, for me at least. Documentaries up there as well, but biography is definitely one of them. The Iron Claw, that was the best movie of 2023. That was an incredible movie. I love that movie. And the second best movie, or the third arguably, is Oppenheimer, which is another biography. There's, like, you learn a lot, which then teaches you, so that's good. Usually, they're very slow paced usually. I think I put it in the B tier. It's better than action. I'll give it that. I'll definitely give it better than action. And it provides you with a lot of perspective as well. Like, for example, Elvis. You know, everyone thinks Elvis has a great lifestyle. He's loved by all the chicks. He makes good music. He has a lot of money. But when you watch the movie, you realize that, oh fuck, like, the pressure's on him at all times. He has to turn to drugs. Like, it gives you a lot of perspective on people, and I really like that biography. You know what? I'm actually gonna put it in the A tier. I think that's very valuable about movies that people maybe don't talk about enough. So, A tier for me. Fuck. Okay, so now we have comedy. It's just not for me. I definitely understand if you love comedies. I think, okay, if I was at a party or a family gathering, yeah, I could swallow a comedy. But if I'm by myself or even just with a small group of friends, it's like the last movie I want to watch. Like, it's down here. Like, for example, animation's up here. Fucking comedy, I do not want to watch that. It's all the way down there. It's just, okay. The thing with comedy is that it can work well, but it just can't be the only thing going for the movie. If I walk at the theater and I say, oh, that was a funny movie and that's it, it's not gonna last my memory. I'll forget about it within like 30 minutes. I think comedy is at its best when it's linked with something. For example, okay, this might be a weird example, but Marvel, I know I give it a lot of shit, but the early Marvel movies, some of the movies are pretty funny, like Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't walk out of the theater thinking, oh, that was a funny movie. I think that was a fun movie, it's an adventure movie, which just also happened to have some good comedy in it. Basically, if it's a comedy, and it's the only genre for that movie, then it's going to be one of the most forgettable movies for me. Okay, so now we have crime. Crime is really good, man. The Dark Knight, The Nightcrawler. There's a lot of really, like, Taken. Like, there's some good crime movies. The thing is that they're usually interlinked with a lot of other genres. Like, it's usually always with mystery, usually always with thrillers. You could argue drama as well. And when I watch a crime movie, I don't look forward to the crime aspect of it. I look more forward to the thriller aspect, to the mystery aspect. Let's use the Dark Knight as an example. The Joker is kind of the crime, and so when the character is always one step ahead, you can say the same for like Seven, like those types of characters where they're causing the crimes. I love it when you're sitting there like, oh fuck, like what do the characters do about this? Like the Joker's way ahead of them. You know, like Batman can't do shit, and then you could say the same for Seven. You know, John Doe is like one step ahead at all times. I think that is when crime is at its best, but I would say it's better than action. That's another thing. Action is usually interlinked with crime, but is that the right word? Interlinked? I don't even know. But crime, B tier, overshadowed by other genres for me. Oh, but Zodiac is really good though. Zodiac is great. Now we have documentary. Probably the most different genre on this list. I like documentaries. The thing is, like, it's not really like I know a lot of movies have documentaries in them, but like I see them more as biography than documentary. So if we're just talking about documentaries, it's you know, it's fine. Like I just prefer biography. It's just a downgrade of biographies in my opinion. Like for example, The Last Dance is probably my favorite. Planet Earth is really good. My favorite documentaries are the ones where they show you how to make movies. Like the Man of Steel one, I love that one. Lord of the Rings is really good. I love that one. That one, like that movie was made over a period of like 6 or 7 years or something, and so I really enjoyed watching that document. It's good. It's good to learn like for your personal thing, but just by like it's not really. It's probably not really a movie genre for me. So I'll put it in the C tier. Now we have drama. Okay, so it's similar to action where it's like it's a hit or miss. Actually, nah. You know what? It's probably better than. You know what? I'll put it in the A tier. I think. Drama. It always makes a movie better if it's done well. You definitely want at least a little bit of drama in your movie. You know, in order to cause conflict, in order to make the story interesting. Causing drama and then causing the audience to want to know what happens is a really good way of doing it. I think drama is probably one of the most important genres on this list. You have to do drama well in order for people to like the movie. Okay, let's just take a random movie, like Inception. My favorite movie. It has a fuck ton of drama in it. Cobb has to find the right people for the right job, and then once they get the team together, you know, everything goes to shit. You know, he lies to them. I don't want to spoil it, but basically, a lot of drama is needed to keep viewers' attention. In the same way that, like, mystery, for example, we'll talk about. mystery is another way of keeping the audience's attention. I think drama is probably the most important. And so because of that, it deserves an 8 tier. I'd actually, you know what, I'd put it above Biography and below Adventure. So, yeah. Next up, we have family movies. You know, it's the thing with family is that everyone can enjoy it. I think when animation and family movies are put together, well, it's always really good. But if it's like, you know, a live action with animation, it can be decent. You know, it's probably the most, I don't want to say forgettable, but just like you're walking away without learning much most of the time, at least in my experience. Like, probably the most safe movies. Like, it probably has the least amount of twists. It has the least amount of like tension. You're just kind of sitting there to have a general good time, but it never goes beyond that. You just like, you're always probably maintaining it like a good level. You know, oh yeah, I like this movie, but you're never up here. So yeah, fantasy's so fucking good. Thing with fantasy, like, I was never really into fantasy until my teenage years. I was never into it as a kid. I never watched Harry Potter. I never watched Lord of the Rings, something like that. But okay, are we including superheroes in fantasy? Nah, let's put superheroes out. So without superheroes, I would put it very high, below drama. So to make an original fantasy, you know, with like new rules, new characters, a new setting, everything is completely new. You have nothing to, like, that is so impressive to me. That must be probably the hardest genre to do, is an original fantasy. For books as well, but more so with movies. Like, how the fuck did they make Star Wars? Like, that's crazy. So in terms of being sucked into a world and wanting to be there and you know, just escaping the real world in order to live in that one, I think fantasy does that the best. My favorite type of fantasy, when it's just a normal world with like one change. So for example, Attack on Titan. It's basically a normal world set in like 800 BC, but there's Titans. Like, that's the only big change. But the landscape of the entire world is completely different to what it is now. You can say the same thing with Harry Potter. It's set in a normal world, but just there's magic. One change in one world and it completely changes the whole landscape. I love that shit. So yeah, keeps an A tier for me. History. I don't know, it's fucking history. So the thing with history, at school, it was my least favorite subject. I fucking hated history. But movies do a lot better than school. Okay, actually, you know what? If we're including war movies, then yeah, it at least deserves a B, because a lot of war movies are really good. Like, Hacksaw Ridge is my favorite war movie, and you know, that's a history movie, so there's definitely some really good history movies. But outside of like war, which is what I'm a little bit interested in, it's a hard one to rank for me, because like Tetris, I really like that movie. That's a history movie, like a biography about someone who made Tetris. But it just doesn't really stand out to me that much. Like, I just rather watch an action or a crime, or I think I'll just put it in the B tier. Like, it doesn't, it's a genre that doesn't stand out apart from war movies, so yeah. Oh fuck. Okay, so horror, that's definitely D tier, man. I remember how I said action movies, about 30% of them are good. For horror, it's like 10%, man. 90% of horror movies are so fucking shit, man. Okay, I'm being for real here. If I were to watch a comedy movie and a horror movie, I'm way more likely to laugh the horror one, because they're always so shit. I always laugh. And the thing is, like, when I would watch it with friends, a lot of the time they would be scared, and I'll be laughing the entire time. So I don't know. Horror rarely works. There are definitely, like, the first Alien movie. That's probably the scariest movie I've seen. But actually, you know what? It's kind of similar to comedy, where I think it's good as like a side genre. So for example, comedy, there's just a few jokes every now and then. Same as horror. You know, just like one or two jump scares in an entire movie. I don't mind that at all. Like, for example, Terminator. That's a good one. Terminator. You know, the Terminator's fucking terrifying, but there's not really jump scares. There's not really. It's just kind of like every now and then, it scares the shit out of you. For example, when it steps on that skull out of nowhere, like, that scares you. Okay, now back to back shit genres. Probably the worst genre on this list. It's just, I hate musicals, man. I hate them so much. Like, if you saw my 24 movie ranking, Wicked, it's a good movie, but I would like it so much more if it didn't have musical in it. Okay, let me explain, and I might get through to you. So for those of you who enjoy musicals, I get it. It lifts your mood. you know, the vibe is better. Like, that's how I understand people liking it. For me, I like it when the story's at a consistent pace the entire time. So, story. Music that stops because there's a fucking 5-minute scene of a musical. Continues for a bit. Another fucking musical. You know what I mean? Like, let me go through the fucking movie without music. You know, like, okay, music's good, but like, not while he's singing. There's a few exceptions. What's that? Tick, Tick, Boom, the one with Andrew Garfield. That's like the only musical that I really, really like. But apart from that, man, it's just so shit. Like, just get on with it. Just go on with it, man. So yeah. Okay, so I just talked about horror musical. Horror, just shit. But now we move on to the best genre. My favorite. Oh, I love mystery, man. I love it. So the thing with mystery is that it actually works a lot better in shows than movies. But there are definitely a lot of movies. Okay, like Knives Out, Seven, like those types of movies. I have to know what happens next. Like I have to finish the movie. Like if it's like 3 a.m. and I walk past a movie and it's 2 hours long, but it's a mystery, I'm like, okay, well now I have to finish it now. So, and I'll go to bed at 5 a.m. because like that like in terms of grabbing my attention, mystery. Shutter Island. Shutter Island's a really good one. Like I have to know what happens, and even better than that is shows. By the end of every episode, like Death Note, you need to know like, okay, is Elle gonna catch Kira? And so you have to watch every fucking episode for the next 20 episodes because you just have to know. Like, you know what I mean? Like I love that shit about movies is when you have to know what happens next. And I think mystery does that the best. And Thriller we'll talk about. Thriller does that really well as well. I love it when a movie grabs my attention from start to finish. But one of my other favorite things are twists, plot twists. And mysteries, you need to know what happens. And then when you get to the reveal, usually the plot twist, there is a plot twist. And if it's really good, that's going to stick in my mind. Like Shutter Island, that has a plot twist. I won't reveal it. But it's a mystery throughout the entire movie. And then you're going to remember that movie because it has an incredible plot twist. Shows do that even better because they have multiple plot twists. Like arguably like 20 across an entire series. So like that, and then once you find out about one plot twist, you have the mystery even increases further because, well, now I know this, but how the fuck did that happen? Now I need to know what this other thing. So, it's just so good. I love mystery. So now we move on to romance, which is very interesting. Okay, at its peak, it's an A tier, arguably S tier. I think it's probably the one that, if there's a genre that makes me cry, it would be romance. You know, and okay, I have a very like weird romance favorite. So okay, let me explain. The movie Her, that's very like, it's a romance, but it's between a man and an AI. A man falls in love with you know what I mean? It's very different. I love different romance, like, or even the movie Your Name. Two people fall in love with each other by just swapping bodies every now and then, like, and so they get to learn about themselves. Like, you know what I mean? Like super different romances that don't happen in real life, but in theory is like it's romantic in a really cool way. But the thing is though, is that it really ruins a lot of fucking movies. Marvel has a lot of shit, right? Like Age of Ultron has, what's her name? Black Widow and Hulk. Horrible romance. The worst part about the Star Wars movies is probably the romance as well. The worst part about the Lord of the Rings movies is the romance. When it's done bad, it's horrible. It's like fucking D tier. It's just like action. It's a hit or miss. So because of that, it's going right next to action in B tier. It just has to be done well, basically. Otherwise, it just brings down a movie a lot, so... And also another thing with romance is that if it's a standalone romance movie, it's just okay. Like, a lot of like the Netflix ones, they're shit. Like, I don't... The only romance that I've seen are the ones like with a twist to them. Like, I don't like the standalone romance movies, so yeah. Okay, sci-fi. Ooh, S tier straight away. I fucking love sci-fi. Interstellar, Inception, fucking Oblivion, District 9, a lot of alien movies. I love, like, remember how I said fantasy, it's like, I love movies where it's like one change, but other than that, it's like one normal world, and you see how everything changes. The same for sci-fi. So for example, Inception, people go into people's dreams and then extract information. Like, that's super sci-fi, and I love that shit when it's super original and you're like, okay, what would happen if this existed in that world? And it's usually backed up with like some action, with some mystery. So I just love sci-fi, man. Like, when it's done well, and especially original sci-fi. Okay, if we were to bring back video games, then Detroit Become Human has just an incredible story, which is sci-fi. Oh yeah, so Ex Machina as well. Just any AI movies, that's all sci-fi. I love that shit. Okay, put it like this. If I were ever to make a story, I would love to make a sci-fi. I think it's just so much fun. It's super ambitious. I would probably like do it with mystery. I think just like the concept of making something different from the real world, like Terminator, for example, that's a sci-fi. I just love that shit. Now we have probably the most surprising genre in this list that always does really well is sport. As a kid, I just thought sport movies were shit. Like, they were always really boring. It's never actually about the sport, it was always about the drama aspect. But now I fucking love that aspect. Like, Iron Claw, incredible. Creed, incredible. Rocky, like, there's so many. Like, it's honestly, a lot of sport movies are more drama films. It's always a different movie, but the main goal is for the character to overcome what they're going through in their personal life in order to thrive in their sport. And it's always very emotional. Actually, you know what? I did say romance gets emotions out of me, but sports, of all things, gets that out of me as well. Like, Iron Claw was emotional. Creed at times as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like you're super invested into the character who like, it's very inspiring to watch these characters want to do really well in their sports. Last one, a really good one as well, thriller. I'll put it in the A tier, probably below drama. Oh my god, it's just, in terms of movies that grab your attention, thrillers do that super well. The one that did it the best was mystery, that's right, mystery does it the best. But thrillers, like, as soon as it starts, I'm not leaving the seat. Like, you know, I'm on the edge of my, first of all, I'm on the edge of my seat, or like, I'm standing up and I'm like, holy fuck, what's gonna happen? I watched Carry On like a few weeks ago, and I loved it. Like, for about an hour, I was like, what the fuck, what's gonna happen next? Because, you know, so much is happening at a very quick pace, and I love that shit. It's like, it's like a better version of action, almost. Like, most thrillers have action in it, but I'm enjoying the action because of how thrilling it is, if that makes sense. So, yeah, there we go. I think there's a way longer video than my last tier list, but hope you guys enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed it. I'm heading off to uni now. I'm gonna edit this video whilst on the bus. It's an hour bus ride, so, you know, that'll be good. And I hope you guys have a good week. And I'll see you guys on Friday with a video about the most underrated movies of each franchise, which has been really fun to make, so yeah. See you guys.